This portion of the training will cover property and insurance requirements to maximize insurance reimbursements to supplement any FHWA or FEMA funding. Timely and proper documentation is critical for successful insurance claims. The department must process insurance claims in compliance with requirements of the Department of Financial Services and the Department of Management Services, if applicable. To accomplish this, it is imperative that employees who supervise repairs or process claims be aware of all claim requirements. Section 284.01 Florida statutes mandates the department participate in the state's self-insurance program to cover state-owned buildings and contents, to include the covered perils of fire, lightning, windstorm, flood, and sinkholes. Certain items such as artwork, property located outside of a building, or surplus property are not typically covered under the program, but can be purchased through the Department of Management Services. Surplus property is not eligible to be covered by either policy. Deductibles for the self-insurance program are $500 per building for flood damage and $2,500 per occurrence for other perils. Most pertinent to emergency response, the department participates in 2 additional policies with the Department of Management Services. The electronic data processing policy covers equipment such as computers, laptops, camcorders, etc. The contractor's equipment policy provides insurance for leased equipment. It is the district's responsibility to notify the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance Supervisor of any leased equipment that should be added to that policy. Other insurance policies in effect for the department include commercial terrorism and business interruption insurance for the turnpike facilities. Details of those policies can be found on the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance SharePoint site. It is important to keep property and insurance information current throughout the year to ensure that property is adequately covered at the time of an emergency. The Property and Insurance section will send out an annually updated insurance spreadsheet to all insurance coordinators in the districts. It is the responsibility of the coordinators to review and verify the information for accuracy. If there are any changes that need to be made, the coordinator should notify the Property and Insurance section. This information will be reported to the Department of Financial Service as the insurable values for the department. Annual reviews of this information typically occur in May. Please note that all buildings or structures must have a separate property number if there's a physical space between them. Generators, towers, and buildings separated by walkways and not connected at the roof are examples of structures that need separate numbers. Pictures of department-owned structures are critical. Pictures should be taken as soon as the building is acquired or constructed. The roof and all sides of the building or structure should be captured in the picture. This will be used to determine the extent of damage to buildings or structures after acquisition. All information must be entered into the Facilities Inventory Reporting and Maintenance System, also known as the FIRM system, which is accessible through the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance SharePoint site. Safety first. Employee safety is the #1 priority. Property can be replaced, but lives cannot. So please do not endanger yourself or others to protect state property. As severe weather approaches, the following steps must be taken to ensure that property does not get damaged. Move items away from windows. In the event of possible flooding, remove items from the floor to an elevated area, and all electronic equipment must be covered with plastic. If property becomes damaged due to an event, reasonable care should be taken to protect the property from further damage. When department property is damaged, the district insurance coordinator should be notified, who will in turn contact the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance section immediately. District staff should follow up with the DOT building number and the extent of any damages as soon as safely possible, including a narrative of how damages will affect operations. For FCO projects, A preliminary insurance claim can be filed through the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance section. A preliminary claim allows DFS adjusters to mobilize to department sites for early review. During this time, district staff should proceed with obtaining repair quotes, monitor reporting timelines, and understand that you may be required to use your own operating budget for those repairs. Fixed capital outlay emergency funds are not to be used for declared disaster events. If the damage or loss is due to a fire, the state fire marshal, not the county or the city fire marshal, the state fire marshal must be notified. As a reminder, the state fire marshal must also be notified if the fire alarm system has been disabled at any time before, during, or after an event. So let's talk about documentation needs. Proper documentation is critical for successful insurance claims. Before and after pictures is often the difference between a denied claim and a successful claim. Take as many photos as possible to document the loss. There's no such thing as too many pictures when trying to resolve a claim. Pictures must be taken before cleanup, cover up, or any repairs begin. It is very important to note that often no pictures means no payment. Additionally, repair and replacement estimates must be provided that separate material and labor costs. Please do not include lump sum amounts, and they are required to have units of damage materials listed. All documentation must be forwarded to your district insurance coordinator immediately upon availability. Please do not submit any forms directly to the Department of Financial Services or the Department of Management Services. The district insurance coordinator will submit the information to GAO Property and Insurance section, who will then submit the claim to DFS or DMS and or to the Division of Emergency Management in the event it's a FEMA declared disaster. Required forms with your submission include the Notice of Property Loss form and or the Statement of Lightning Loss form available on the GAO Property and Insurance SharePoint site. The Notice of Property Loss form must be submitted for each damaged building or structure. The district insurance coordinator must send this completed form to the Property and Insurance section for verification of completeness. GAO will then forward the form to DFS. The detailed description of loss section must be completed with details that will appropriately document and describe the event that caused the damage. It must also describe the extent of the damages. Regarding the Statement of Lightning Loss form, it must be completed by a licensed technician or other qualified specialist to determine that damages were caused by lightning. Photographs must show the physical evidence of lightning damage. Lightning claims are some of the most difficult claims for DFS to positively resolve because they must have physical evidence that damages were caused by lightning as opposed to a power surge. Without pictures, DFS will not pay lightning claims. All forms must be submitted to the district insurance coordinator as soon as they are completed. The coordinator will then forward those forms to the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance section. The more information provided with your claim to support damages and repairs greatly increases the department's chances of a successful claim. The following items are also required to be submitted with the claims to aid reimbursement. Detailed damage inventory listing. This must include building numbers, property decal numbers, and any other property damage that may not have a decal. Detailed list of on-hand of DOT materials used for repairs. Those DOT materials should have quantities and estimated costs associated with them. Timesheets. If DOT employees work on repairs and it's not part of their normal daily 8-hour work, overtime can be included in the claim. Contract for repair work listing the itemized labor charges and material costs, any purchase orders, itemized invoices, and proof of payment for all expenditures related to the repairs and replacements. Catastrophic loss typically means FEMA will be involved in the emergency event. Special consideration for FEMA-related events must be made to ensure a successful claims process. In the event of a catastrophic loss, like a hurricane or tornado, the damages must be separated by water and wind damage. This is a FEMA requirement and cannot be overlooked. Anytime damage occurs, firm must have a damage log created. All documentations that are associated with any loss must be uploaded to firm as well. This is the responsibility of the district insurance coordinators and becomes the basis for any submission to DFS, DMS, or FEMA. FEMA will only consider the difference of what our insurance does not pay. The department should never submit to FEMA and not insurance. Documentation showing that each site was evaluated for insurance claims first will be required by FEMA. More information regarding property and insurance claims, including district contacts, forms, policies, etc., can be found at the General Accounting Office Property and Insurance SharePoint site. Please reach out to Elsie Daniels or Tommy Lemax with any questions.